السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. All thanks and praise are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and may His peace and blessings upon His last and final messenger, His family, His companions, and those who follow them until the end of times. So welcome to our annual Hajj Seminar. I'm very excited, inshallah. How many of you are going for the first time? Alright, good. So almost more than half is first timers. Who's been before? Everyone else has been Hajj before, just Umrah? Hajj?
Yeah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So in today's seminar, basically what we're going to do is we're going to go through the actual fiqh of Hajj itself. Right, the actual rules and regulations of Hajj, and then the step-by-step process on how to perform it properly and correctly, insha'Allah. But before doing so, we'll talk about some of the virtues and the benefits and rewards of Hajj itself, because that always it like recharges our zeal, our enthusiasm, and builds up excitement. So it's that time of year where literally millions of Muslims from every single corner of the globe are going to go and perform Hajj. And it is literally one of the most powerful, one of the most awe-inspiring, one of the most beautiful acts of worship that we have in Islam. Because Muslims from every single corner of the world, of all different backgrounds and races and cultures and languages, old and young, rich and poor, they all gather together in the same place for the same purpose. That all of these millions of Muslims throughout the world, they are traveling to Mecca to show their devotion, their obedience, and their submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's the most beautiful display of unity in the entire world. That no other religion, no other way of life has an act of worship that's similar to Hajj, where people from all of these diverse backgrounds come together and they all perform the exact same act of worship. Right? They're all there to show their love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the acts of worship in Islam, they actually have various dimensions to them. They have various portions to them. So for example, praying, it provides an occasion for people to get together in the masjid 5 times every single day. And then the Friday prayer, it gives an opportunity for the community to come together in a larger gathering. Then the 2 Eid prayers provide an even larger gathering. And then Hajj is the annual gathering of the entire ummah at the most sacred of all places. Right? It brings together members of the ummah, it rejuvenates their faith, their spiritual energy and commitment, then sends them back to their communities to spread these blessings. And just as it has this collective benefit, Hajj is also a very personal act of worship. It's an opportunity for all of us to completely change our lives. So all of us as human beings, we have our own weaknesses, we have our own deficiencies, we have our own shortcomings. Hajj is an opportunity for us to change all of that completely. It's a chance for us to have all of our previous mistakes and shortcomings forgiven. And that's why it's considered to be one of the most virtuous acts of worship that we have in Islam. And being one of the most virtuous acts, it's also perhaps one of the most difficult. Right? It is one of the most unique. And one of the things that makes Hajj so unique is that when we look at all of the other acts of worship in Islam, they have a certain frequency to it. So for example, we have to pray 5 times a day every single day. When it comes to Ramadan, we fast the month of Ramadan every single year. When it comes to paying zakah, we pay zakah every year. But Hajj is the only act of worship that we are required to do once in our lifetime. And that's why they have this saying that it's a once in a lifetime journey for a lifetime of change. That our life before Hajj and after Hajj should be different. That this is supposed to be a transformative experience. That it changes our perspective, it changes the way we look at the world. But most importantly, it's going to change our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That after going through this journey, after performing all the rites and rituals, and after really going through the difficulties of Hajj, is going to bring us a lot closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's perhaps one of the reasons why the Prophet ﷺ tells us that Al-Hajjul Mabrur laysa lahu jaza'un illa al-Jannah. That a righteous accepted Hajj, a Hajj that's performed correctly, that's performed properly with sincerity, it has no other reward except for Jannah. Right? If we go on this journey and we do it with sincerity, we try to do it to the best of our abilities, and we're trying to do everything properly, then the reward for it will be paradise. That is a guarantee that we're being given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's another hadith where the Prophet ﷺ says that whoever performs Hajj and they don't engage in anything wrong, they don't do any acts of disobedience, then they will come back home just like the day their mother gave birth to them. Right? Meaning all of their previous sins will be forgiven. So since Hajj is such an important act of worship, since it is one of the pillars of Islam, it's important for all of us to know the rulings and regulations related to Hajj. Right? All of us should be familiar with the fiqh of Hajj, meaning how to perform this religious obligation properly and correctly according to the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ. So as I mentioned, the purpose of today's seminar is to do that. So the way we're going to approach it is we're going to break down Hajj into its individual parts first. Right? We're going to break down Hajj into all of its individual parts. That what are the parts of Hajj that are fard? What are the things that we have to do? Right? What are the parts of Hajj that are the wajibat, that are mandatory? What are the parts of Hajj that are sunnah? So part one of the seminar is going to be this very theoretical discussion just regarding the different aspects of Hajj itself. And then in the second part, we'll put all of that into practice. And we'll go through the step-by-step process of how to perform Hajj, insha'Allah. But before doing so, we'll talk about some of the virtues of performing Hajj and Umrah. Right, so the first hadith here is from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that he narrates that he heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, "Man hajja lillah falam yarfuth walam yafsuq, raja'a kayawmi waladathu ummu." That whoever performs Hajj for the sake of Allah. A very important point, right? Man hajja lillah. That our intention, our purpose, our objective of going on this journey is none other than seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That we are going solely to show our love, our devotion, our obedience and submission to our Lord and Creator. فَلَمْ يَرْفُثْ. And because we're doing that, we do not engage in obscene speech or behavior. وَلَمْ يَفْسُقْ. We don't commit any acts of disobedience. رَجَعَ كَيَوْمِ وَلَدْتُ أُمُّ. Then we will come back home just like the day our mothers gave birth to us. Meaning our book of deeds will be brand new. All of our sins will be forgiven. And some of the scholars, they mention that this might only be referring to minor sins, but there's a large number of scholars say this includes both major and minor sins both. That all of our previous sins will be forgiven just by performing Hajj. Right? The second hadith is the Prophet ﷺ tells us, "Al-umratu ila al-umrah kafaratun lima baynahuma wal-hajj al-mabrur laysa lahu jaza'un illa al-jannah." That one umrah to the next is an expiation of whatever comes in between them. Meaning if a person does multiple umrahs throughout their life, then the time period from the first one to the second one, anything they may have done in between will be forgiven. Right? It will be completely wiped away. Your book of deeds will be clean. وَالْحَجُّ الْمَبْرُورِ. A righteous accepted Hajj, لَيْسَ لَهُ جَزَاءٌ إِلَّا الْجَنَّةِ. Has no other reward except for paradise. So again, the reward of Hajj is Jannah. And that should be like our mindset. That we are going on this journey, we're leaving our homes for 2 or 3 weeks, and our goal and objective on this journey is to earn Jannah. It is to earn paradise, insha'Allah. Alright. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu also narrates, "Al-Hujjaj wal-Ummar wafdullah." That the pilgrims who perform Hajj and Umrah, they are the delegation of Allah. Right? Another version or another narration mentions that we are Duyufur Rahman. We are the guests of the absolutely most merciful. So when we go to Mecca as pilgrims to perform Umrah or perform Hajj, we are actually guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And being the guests of Allah, we are favored with special blessings. We are favored with special unique things. And this hadith mentions 2 of them. In da'ahu ajabahum. That when we make dua, when we supplicate, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will definitely respond. So one of the virtues and blessings of this journey is that every single dua we make on this trip, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will definitely respond to it. And that's why having our du'as and our supplications prepared is very important. So we have enough things to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for, which He will definitely respond to. وَإِنِ اسْتَغْفَرُوهُ غَفَرَ لَهُمْ. And the second benefit is if we seek His forgiveness, He will definitely forgive us. So there are several ahadith from the Prophet ﷺ that highlight the virtues, the blessings, the rewards associated with performing Hajj. And part of the reason for mentioning all of these blessings and virtues is to create this excitement. It creates this zeal, this enthusiasm, that when we hear a hadith like this, we actually want to go and perform Hajj. So that inshallah we can earn paradise, we can have all of our sins forgiven, we can change and we can transform our lives. So inshallah we should keep this in mind, so that throughout the journey we keep motivating ourselves. Because as human beings, by nature, sometimes we get bored, we get tired, we get exhausted, sometimes we get overwhelmed, sometimes we feel anxious and stressed out. So one of the ways to kind of, persevere through all of these various challenges is to remind ourselves of the virtues and the blessings associated with this pilgrimage. Alright, so now what we'll do is we'll go through the actual fiqh of Hajj. And again, this is going to be a very, I don't want to say theoretical discussion, but it's more of like a fiqh lesson, right? It's an introduction to the different parts of Hajj and the different aspects of it. And then we'll put it all together in the step-by-step process. So first and foremost, understanding what does the word Hajj actually mean, right? This word Hajj that we have been listening to since we were young, what exactly does the word mean? So when talking about definitions of words in the Arabic language, the scholars, they usually discuss two different aspects of it. They talk about the literal meaning of a word, because obviously the Arabic language, it existed before Islam. It existed before the Prophet ﷺ was appointed as the last and final messenger. So words had certain meanings. But then when Islam came and when the Prophet ﷺ received revelation, those words were taken and given very specific definitions. So linguistically speaking, the word Hajj, it means to aim for something great. Al-qasdu ila azimin. That's what the word used to mean linguistically in the Arab culture, right? If you wanted to intend or aim for something high, something great, it was called Hajj. But then when Islam came, it took this word and it gave it a very, very specific definition, which is this act of worship. So technically, right, the scholars or the jurists of Islam, they define Hajj as visiting a specific place to perform specific actions at a specific time. So that specific place that we're visiting is what? Where are we going to visit right now, inshallah? Mecca, right? The Kaaba, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's one. And the second important place we're going to visit on this journey is the plain of Arafah. Right? It's a plain, it's this area, this geographic location, right outside the boundaries of the Haram, of the city of Mecca. So when we go on this journey of Hajj, there are actually two places that we need to visit. One of them being the Kaaba, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the other being this plain of Arafah. And we're going to do specific actions, right? Those specific actions, for example, we're going to be in the state of Ihram. We're going to be in the state of pilgrim sanctity. We're going to perform tawaf around the Kaaba, right? We're going to walk around the Kaaba 7 times. And we're going to stand in the plain of Arafah. So those are specific actions that we are required to do, that we have to do. And it's done during a specific time. So the time for Hajj is basically 6 days. It's the 8th of Dhul Hijjah until the 13th. So the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. So these 6 days are Ayyamul Hajj. These 6 days are the days of Hajj. So that is just the technical definition that's given by some of the jurists and some of the fuqaha. It helps us understand and conceptualize what Hajj actually is as an act of worship. And the ruling is that it's obligatory to perform Hajj once in a lifetime as soon as one has the ability to do so. So whoever has the ability to do so, whether it's financial and physical, Hajj becomes an obligation upon them. And this obligation, it's established through the Quran as well as the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So for example, in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. That as a right of Allah, it is obligatory on the people to perform Hajj of the house on everyone who has the ability to manage their way to it. So based off this verse of the Quran, the jurists, the fuqaha, the scholars, they mention that this verse makes Hajj fard. Right? It makes it an obligation. مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا, for anyone who has the ability to do so. And ability, again, is two things. It's financial as well as physical. Right? And there are several ahadith. For example, the Prophet ﷺ tells us that, O people, Allah has made Hajj obligatory upon you, so perform Hajj. And there's that very famous hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he tells us, بُنِيَ الْإِسْلَامُ عَلَى خَمْسٍ, that Islam is built upon 5 pillars. And one of the pillars being Hajj. Right, so this is a very, very important act of worship. It's something that is considered to be an obligation on those who have the ability to do so. But again, it's only once in a lifetime. This is the only act of worship in Islam that we are obligated to do only once. And that's why it's so important to learn how to do it properly, right? To learn how to do it correctly. All right, now we learned that Hajj is an obligation, but who exactly is it an obligation upon? Right? Who exactly has to go and perform Hajj? So the scholars, they mention that there are conditions that make it obligatory. That if a person meets the following 4 conditions, then they have to go and perform Hajj. And if one of these conditions is missing, then Hajj will not be fard upon that person at all. Meaning they don't have to perform it themselves, nor do they have to send someone on their behalf to go and perform it. They are absolved of the obligation. So the first condition that's mentioned obviously is Islam. Right? Hajj being an act of worship, the only individuals that are obligated to do it are those who believe in Allah and believe in the Prophet ﷺ. The second is maturity. And what is meant by maturity is being an adult. So Hajj is not an obligation upon minors, right? It's not an obligation upon minors, it is an obligation upon adults. But within Islam, being an adult is not like being an adult in America, right? You are considered to be an adult as soon as you reach the age of puberty. So in Islam, if you are a mature, that means you have reached the age of puberty, right? Sanity, a person who is not sane is not obligated to perform Hajj because of the statement of the Prophet ﷺ that رُفِعَ الْقَلَمُ عَنْ ثَلَاثٍ. Right, the Prophet ﷺ tells us that the, accountability has been lifted from 3 individuals. Right, there are 3 individuals who are not responsible, who are not accountable before Allah. The first being a minor, right? They don't have to do things. The second being a person who's asleep until they wake up, and the third is one who is insane, who is not fully sane. So in Islam, anyone who's an adult insane, the word for it in Arabic is mukallaf. And mukallaf means you are legally responsible in front of Allah. And what that means is everything we say, everything we do is being recorded. And on the Day of Judgment, we're going to stand in front of Allah and be held accountable for it. So being an adult insane in Arabic, we call that mukallaf. It's like a legal term. And the last one is ability. And ability is defined as what's on the screen. Right? A person must be able to afford provisions, food, drink, and lodging, and transportation for the actual journey and other expenses, both for going and returning, in excess of the expenses for one's dependents and basic necessities, meaning the money used for Hajj should be in excess of what is spent on one's dependents and in excess of basic necessities. Khair. All this is saying is that you have to have the financial ability to do Hajj, that you can afford to do it. Right? It's something that is that you have excess money, and with that excess money you're able to perform and afford Hajj. So if any individual fulfills these 4 conditions, Hajj becomes an obligation upon them. And then the scholars discuss, is this obligation something immediate, or does it mean they have their entire life to perform it? So most people say the obligation is immediate, meaning as soon as we have the ability to perform Hajj, we should go and do it as soon as possible. It should not be delayed. And usually, or at least in the past, at least this was part of the culture of many Muslim communities, that they would delay Hajj until very, very later on. That people would have this attitude that, you know what, we'll enjoy life as much as possible, and we will do whatever we want and, you know, engage in whatever makes us happy. And then near the end of our lives, when we're old, we'll go and do Hajj and everything will be forgiven. Right? That is a common attitude that people have. And this is an attitude that's very, very problematic. Because first and foremost, none of us know how long we're going to live. Right? Are we going to be alive till that moment? And secondly, Hajj is actually very difficult. It's physically taxing, right? It's something that requires a certain level of energy, a certain level of like physical ability. And the older we get, the more difficult this act of worship becomes. So this is an attitude that we should kind of get rid of. That we don't want to spend our lives in disobedience. We want to spend our lives in the obedience of Allah and getting closer to Allah and being people that are righteous and moral and God conscious and ethical and just decent human beings. So part of that is Hajj. So as soon as we have the ability, we should try our best to go and perform it. Alright, so these are 4 conditions that make it an obligation. And there are certain conditions that are required for performing Hajj. Meaning, once it becomes an obligation, if a person meets these 3 conditions, then they have to go do it themselves. Right? It's an obligation for them to go and perform it individually on their own. And if one of these conditions is missing, then they don't have to do it on their own, but they can send someone to do it on their behalf. Right? They can pay someone, they can finance someone, and that individual can perform Hajj on their behalf. So if any one of the following conditions isn't met, then Hajj, it's still obligatory, but the person doesn't have to do it themselves. They can pay someone else to perform it on their behalf. The first being sound health. That a person must be physically able to perform Hajj. There shouldn't be any illness or condition that would make it extremely difficult for a person to travel. So for example, Allah protect us if someone's disabled and they're wheelchair bound, but they meet all the other conditions that make it an obligation. They don't have to go do Hajj on their own. They can simply pay someone to do it on their behalf. Because Hajj is such a difficult thing physically. And, although they have made a lot of accommodations and facilities, and, as time progresses, they advance more and more, I would say that Mecca is not the most wheelchair-friendly place. Right? There's still difficulties in doing so. So if someone is like that, they don't have to go. If someone has a terminal illness and they're extremely weak and tired, they don't have to go do it themselves. If someone has kidney issues, like they get dialysis every so often, every other day or once a week, they probably shouldn't go do Hajj. They can pay someone to do it on their behalf. And they shouldn't feel bad about it. If you pay someone to do it on behalf, it's like you have done it yourself. You get the full reward, the full blessings of that Hajj. So sound health. The second is safety. And this was discussed usually in the past because traveling was not as it was. Right? In the past, before the advent of modern transportation, before the advent of trains and planes and cars, etc., people would travel in caravans, by camel, by land, or they would travel by sea. And sometimes that journey could be dangerous, and there could be enemies in the way or something that would prevent you from reaching Mecca. So if the path wasn't safe, then they were not obligated to go themselves. And the third is specific to sisters, that a woman must be accompanied by her husband or a non-marriageable kin, meaning a mahram. And this condition applies if the journey to Hajj requires traveling a distance of 48 miles or more. And a non-marriageable kin, a mahram, is a person that a woman is never allowed to marry, either through blood relations, meaning it's a relative, nursing, or marriage. Now this is a condition that is specific to sisters. So basically, if they're going to perform Hajj, and in order to do so they have to travel, right? Then for the sake of safety and protection and precaution, they should either be with their husband or a mahram. Right? A mahram is an individual that you can never get married to. So meaning your close blood relatives, like your uncles or your nephews, your brothers, etc. This condition is for that purpose of safety, and that's why the fuqaha, the jurists say that if a woman does not have a husband, or if she does not have any close relatives that are traveling with her, as long as the journey is safe, it's secure, she's with a group, it's still permissible. All right, it's still permissible. There's nothing wrong with it. All right, so this is a discussion again that's very technical. It's very theoretical. These are just the conditions that make Hajj an obligation upon a person. All of you don't have to worry about this because you're all going for Hajj anyways. All right, the second part is important now. So what we're going to do is we're going to break Hajj down into its individual parts. So which actions of Hajj are fard? Meaning which actions of Hajj do we have to do? Right? Which actions of Hajj are mandatory, that we're required to do them? Which actions of Hajj are optional? They're sunnahs. Right? These are recommendations and teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when it comes to Hajj, there are 3 acts that are fard. These are known as fara'idul hajj. And what that means is these acts have to be done. If one of them is not done, then the hajj will not count. Right? So these are the 3 acts of hajj that are fard, they are obligations. They must be done. If one of them is not done, then the hajj will not count. Right? The first is entering into the state of ihram. Right? Entering into this ritual state of pilgrim sanctity. The second is wuquf bi Arafah, standing in the plain of Arafah. And the third is tawaf ziyarah, which is known as tawaf of visitation. So we'll talk about each of these individually. All right, first and foremost, ihram. Now, oftentimes, people think that ihram is simply wearing the 2 white pieces of cloth. Right, especially for guys, because that's what we're wearing when we're in the state of ihram. A lot of us think that as soon as we put that on, we're in the state of ihram. Right, that is a misconception. Right, ihram is referring to a ritual state. It's a ritual state that one enters when intending to perform hajj or umrah. So literally, the word ihram in Arabic, it means to make something unlawful. Right, it comes from the Arabic verb ahrama yuhrimu, which means to make something unlawful. And the reason why this state is called ihram is because once we enter into it, things that are normally lawful, right, things that we're normally allowed to do, now become impermissible. Right, so for example, when we enter into the state of ihram, we're not allowed to cut or trim our hair. Right, we're not allowed to trim our nails. We're not allowed to apply fragrance to our bodies or our clothes. These are things that are normally permissible. But once you enter into this ritual state of ihram, these things become impermissible. And that's one of the reasons why it is called ihram. Now, a person, they enter into the state of ihram by doing 2 things. Right? In order to enter into this ritual state of pilgrim sanctity, all we have to do is 2 things. Number 1 is niyyah, intention. That we make the intention to either perform umrah or hajj, and after the intention we recite what is called the talbiyah. Right? The talbiyah is a formula, it's a statement that all of us should have memorized before we go on the journey. Because this is something we're going to be repeating very often, very frequently. And that formula is labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wal ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. Right, this statement, all of us inshallah should have it memorized before starting this journey. Right, it's a very powerful statement, but this is the statement that we're going to be reciting very frequently. So as soon as a person makes the intention and then recites the talbiyah, they have entered into this spiritual state of ihram. So for men, that is symbolized by wearing those 2 white pieces of cloth. Right, we're wearing those 2 pieces of cloth as a symbol that we're in the state of ihram. For sisters, they have it a lot easier. They can wear their regular clothes. Right, sisters can wear their normal regular clothes as long again as their awrah is covered, it's modest, whatever. They can wear whatever they want. Men have to wear these 2 white pieces of cloth. All right. Now, when going for hajj or umrah, we have to enter into the state of ihram before crossing the miqat. So the miqat were these boundaries that were identified by the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, whoever is traveling to Mecca to perform umrah or hajj, they have to be in the state of ihram before crossing these boundaries. And we'll get into a discussion regarding that as well. And we'll talk about how to actually enter into the state of ihram when we go through the step-by-step process of hajj. Right? We'll talk about that when we go through the step-by-step process of hajj. Good. Question?
In your book, you said about performing 2 rakat sunnah. If we perform the 2 rakat sunnah and in our dua we do the intention and tawbiyah, is that okay or it has to be done before?
After the 2 rakats. After the 2 rakats. All right.
The dua, we can make it in our dua.
Alright, now once we enter into the state of ihram, there are certain restrictions or prohibitions that come into play. Right? When we're in this state of pilgrim sanctity, we're in this ritual state, there are certain prohibitions, there are certain restrictions that come into play. Right? The first being romance in all forms. Right? Romance in all forms. So intimacy, or speaking about intimacy, is completely forbidden. Sins and acts of disobedience, that's forbidden anyways, but while in the state of ihram it's much worse. So one of the, objectives of ihram is that you're supposed to be in a heightened state of consciousness. You're in this heightened state of awareness, that you're in the state of more taqwa. So you're going to try your best to stay away from prohibitions as much as possible. So we're not supposed to be sinning or disobeying Allah anyways. But while in the state of ihram, it's more important to do so as well, because we're in the state of pilgrim sanctity. Right? The same thing goes for arguing, which is jidal. We have killing or hunting land game. We don't have to worry about that because mashallah no one hunts for their food anymore. Right? Shaving or cutting hair. Right? While in the state of ihram, we have to be careful that we cannot shave, nor can we cut or trim our hair. Right? While in the state of ihram, we cannot trim or cut our nails. While in the state of ihram, we cannot apply fragrance to our body or our clothes, right, in any manner. So that means no scented soap, no scented shampoo, right, no scented lotions, nothing scented. Right? Anything that has fragrance should not be worn or applied while in the state of ihram. For men, wearing stitched clothes. And what is meant by that is people think that it's just cloth with stitching in it. That's not what's prohibited. What's prohibited is wearing clothes, like wearing a shirt or wearing pants. And that's why we're wearing this 2 pieces of cloth, right, to avoid this prohibition. And that's specific for men. The sisters don't have to worry about that. Covering the head for men. Right, while in the state of ihram, we cannot cover our head. No hats, no caps. And for both men and women, covering the face. So while in the state of ihram, we're not supposed to cover our face as well. Some people ask about the face mask, if you can wear that in ihram. You can if it's for medicinal purposes. If you're doing it to avoid germs or getting sick, whatever, it's fine. But the scholars still say that give some sort of sadaqah for doing so. Right? Give some sort of charity, whatever amount you want, but give some charity for doing so. For men, in terms of footwear, we have to be wearing sandals or slippers. And those sandals and slippers have to be such that the top bone of the foot is exposed. And that's why we recommend that while in the state of ihram, just wear flip-flops. Alright, so the first thing that's fard in Hajj is being in this ritual state of ihram. Now, for our journey, we're going to be in the state of ihram twice. Right? Once for the umrah, and then once again for Hajj. So for the umrah, it's not going to be a very long period of time. Right, we're going to enter into the state of ihram, we'll perform our umrah, and we'll exit. It probably won't even be for an entire day. Right, it'll be less than a day. When it comes to Hajj, we're going to be in the state of ihram for about 2.5 days. So all of the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, all of the 9th, and just a part of the 10th. So about 2.5 days we'll be in the state of ihram for Hajj. For umrah, it's less than a day. So the first thing is ihram. Go ahead. Questions? We shouldn't shower then? No, so in ihram you can shower, you can wash up everything. Just avoid using anything that has fragrance in it.
We can't comb our hair.
That's just you can comb your hair. Just make sure that you're not pulling anything out, but you can comb it. So while in ihram again, you can take a shower, you can wash up, you can do everything. Just avoid fragrance.
Is anybody allowed to do Hajj Qiran?
They are, but it'll be difficult. We'll get to that. Alright. The second act in Hajj that's fard is called wuquf bi Arafah. Right? Al-wuquf bi Arafah, which we can translate as standing in Arafah. And this is actually the most important central act of Hajj. The Prophet ﷺ told us, Al-Hajju Arafah. Hajj is Arafah. So the absolute most important ritual, the absolute most important thing that we're doing throughout our entire journey is being present in the plain of Arafah. And what is meant by wuquf in Arafah is being present or standing there even for a moment. Right? If we're present, if we're standing there even for a moment, we have fulfilled the obligation. And the timing for standing in Arafah is between midday of the 9th of Dhul Hijjah until right before Fajr of the 10th day. So we have a large window of time. Right? In order to perform this ritual, in order to perform this act of Hajj, there's a window of time. That window of time starts on the day of Arafah, which is the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. Right? The 9th of Dhul Hijjah is called Yawmu Arafah. And the time for standing starts after midday, after Zawal. Right? Dhuhr time basically. And it extends all the way until Fajr. So you have this large window of time to do this act of worship. And the sunnah is to do it between midday, from Dhuhr till Maghrib. And that's what most of us are going to do. Right? We're going to be in Arafah from Dhuhr till Maghrib. Right? The obligation is just being present there, but this is the most important day. And when we go through the step-by-step process, we'll talk about what we're supposed to do there, inshallah. All right. Any questions on wuquf in Arafah?
Those dates you talked about according to the Islamic calendar, what does that equate to in month of August?
I'm not sure exactly. They haven't announced yet what the first of Dhul Hijjah will be, but I'll check for you, inshallah. I'm not exactly sure which date exactly it's going to be. All right. The last act that's fard in Hajj is Tawaf al-Ziyarah, which is also known as Tawaf al-Ifada. Right? It's called the Tawaf of visitation. So basically, during our entire process of Hajj, we have to do one Tawaf. And this one Tawaf is fard. And this Tawaf is done on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. It can also be done on the 11th, but it has to be done before Maghrib of the 12th. So it's usually done on the 10th. If you can't do it on the 10th, you can do it on the 11th. If you can't do it on the 11th, you do it on the 12th, but before Maghrib. Right? And again, your group is going to do it according to whatever the logistics are, whatever the plan is. You'll go together as a group to perform this tawaf, inshallah. All right. Any questions on this? So quick recap, what are the 3 acts that are fard? Ihram, Arafah, and Tawaf. Right? Simple, straightforward. Right? 3 things that are fard in Hajj: Ihram, the wuquf in Arafah, and Tawaf.
So Sa'i is not right.
It's wajib. Yeah. Go ahead.
Tawaf al-Ifada, if one wants to do it right after Rami Jamarat for the first day, we have to wait till the group is ready.
Yeah. Because it's hard from Mina to Mecca. Transportation is very difficult during the days of Hajj.
Yes.
So you can go yourself, but if you go yourself, you're on your own. Right? Yeah, but if you wait for the group, mashallah, we have the arrangements made, the transportation is there, we go together, we come back together, it's easier that way.
Very difficult.
And if you go yourself, you can walk. The walk might take 2 hours, or you can try to find a taxi, and instead of being like usually from Mina to Mecca to the Haram, it should be like 20-30 riyals. But during Hajj, it goes like 300 riyals. Everyone makes money during Hajj. No, you don't have to. What's meant by standing is being present there. Being present in Arafah. So you don't have to physically be standing.
So some people want to insist on climbing the mountain.
Yes.
And go up. We don't have to.
You don't have to do so. We'll talk about that, inshallah. You don't have to do so. Alright, now when it comes to wajibat, right, what is meant by wajibat are those things that are mandatory. So practically speaking, it's not different than fard. Fard is something you have to do. Wajib is something you have to do as well. Right? The difference is if you skip out on something that's fard, the Hajj won't count. If you miss out on something that's wajib, you can make up for it. And you can make up for it by offering a sacrifice. What we call dam. Right? You can make up for it by offering a sacrifice. So there are 6 main things that are considered to be wajib during Hajj. Right, 6 main things that are considered to be wajib during Hajj. The first is entering into the state of ihram before crossing the miqat. That we said, and being in ihram is fard, but being in that state before crossing the miqat is wajib. So for the sake of our journey, right, for those of us that are going to Mecca first, we're going to enter into ihram most likely on the plane. Right, we're going to enter ihram on the plane, so we'll be okay for umrah. For Hajj, it's easier because we're going to enter ihram from Mecca. Right? Our miqat for Hajj will be the city of Mecca itself. So on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah in the morning, we'll enter into ihram from our hotel. Right? It won't be that difficult. So this first wajib part is easy to take care of. It's not that hard. Right? The second is standing at Muzdalifah or being present in Muzdalifah even for a moment. Right? So part of the process of Hajj is that after Arafah, we leave Arafah after Maghrib and we go to this area called Muzdalifah. And we're going to spend the night there. And then in the morning after praying Fajr, we're going to be there for a moment to make dua. And that moment of making dua after Fajr is the wuquf in Muzdalifah. This is something that's wajib. This is something that was highly emphasized and encouraged by the Prophet ﷺ. So for the time for doing this is after true dawn, meaning after Fajr, even for a moment. Alright. The third is sa'i. Right, sa'i means walking between Mount Safa and Marwa 7 times. So doing sa'i once during Hajj is wajib. And we are going to do our sa'i inshallah after tawaf al-ziyarah. So after we do our tawaf on the 10th or 11th or even on the 12th, after that we're going to do sa'i between Safa and Marwa. And through our journey, we're going to be doing this twice. Once for Umrah, once for Hajj. But again, we'll go through this step by step. Alright, the fourth is stoning the jamarat, right? Stoning the pillars during the days of Nahr. They're called Ayyamun Nahr and Yawmun Nahr and Ayyamut Tashriq. So basically the 10th, 11th, 12th, and if we stay for the 13th, which we're not going to, we're going to leave on the 12th. Alright, so on the 10th, you have to stone Jamaratul Aqaba, which is the first pillar. That's the only one you stone 7 times. On the 11th and 12th, we stone all 3. Alright, you're going to stone all 3 Jamarat 7 times each. So this stoning is wajib, right? This is something that you have to do. And there's specific timings for it, which we'll get into inshallah. Alright, the 5th thing is shaving or trimming the hair on the 10th. So this is how we're going to exit the state of ihram. So if you remember, you're going to be in ihram for Hajj on the 8th, on the 9th, and then on the 10th we'll exit partially. And the way we exit is either for men shaving or trimming our hair, and for the sisters simply trimming your hair. Right? Doing this is also wajib. The 6th is tawaful wida'. Right? Tawaful wida' is that farewell tawaf. And this will be the last thing we do before leaving the city of Mecca. And inshallah again we'll talk about the process in the step-by-step process. Another thing is for those of us doing hajjut tamattu' or qiran, we have to offer a sacrifice. Now we're not going to be doing it ourselves, it's going to be done on our behalf. Right? The arrangements will be made for us and it will be done on our behalf, and the announcement for it will also be made. Alright, so these are some of the wajibat. There are others as well, and we'll learn about them as we're going through the journey inshallah.
What is sorry, I don't know that. What is Muzdalifah?
So Muzdalifah is the name of a place. So Mina is like that tent city, and right outside of Mina there's another valley called Muzdalifah. So part of the rituals of Hajj is to stay in that valley for one night. And we'll talk about that in the step by step, inshallah.
Can you walk from Mina to...
You can walk, but we don't.
How long is the walk?
From Muzdalifah to Mina, it depends on where your tent is in Mina. It could be as short as like 10 minutes, and it could be as long as like an hour or 2 hours, just depending on your location in Mina itself. But they're connected. Muzdalifah and Mina are connected. For those of us that are coming with us, we're going to be taking the train between the manasik, but we'll talk about that inshallah. Alright, there are certain things that are sunnah during Hajj. We'll talk about that as well later. Types of Hajj. Alright, so there are 3 different types of Hajj a person can perform. Right, the first one is called Hajjul Qiran. Right, Hajjul Qiran basically means that a person is combining both Umrah and Hajj in one state of ihram. So basically a person intends to perform Hajjul Qiran, they will enter into the state of ihram with the intention of performing both Umrah and Hajj in the same state of ihram. So basically, for example, if you're leaving from here and you enter ihram on your plane, your ihram intention is I'm doing Umrah and Hajj in this what? One state of ihram. So you're going to arrive in Mecca, you do your Umrah, but you don't shave your head or trim your hair. You remain in ihram till Hajj. Then you do 8th, 9th, then on the 10th, you finally exit the state of ihram. So Hajjul Qiran is long. It's more difficult because you're in the state of ihram for a long period of time. Right?
You define trimming hair.
Yeah, so trimming the hair is, they say, the amount of a fingertip, right, from all over the head.
All over.
Yeah.
You just can't trim it just one side a little bit.
No, for men and women, it's the amount of a fingertip from all over.
Oh, we have to add all.
So for women, they can just gather their hair in the back and clip off that much. That counts as
1 inch.
fingertip.
Can we do it for ourselves or someone else has to do it?
You can do it for yourself as well.
And what do you do with that hair?
Discard it. Yeah. Trash can, toilet.
What is the purpose of doing that? What is it? It's supposed to get rid of energy back?
You just that's how you exit the state of ihram.
Oh.
It's like symbolic for renewal, right? It's a renewal that now I'm done with Hajj, I'm done with Umrah, I'm a new person in terms of my sins have been forgiven. All right, so okay.
So if you're doing Qiran, if you do another umrah, you don't have to really go to the Aisha mosque.
You don't have to.
You can just
Yeah.
you can go from hotel.
Yeah. Technically.
So the trimming is done by some professionals over
There's
there?
barbers there, yeah. We'll get there. So for men, there's barber shops
My
everywhere.
wife cannot just trim my hair.
She can if you want. You can take your own buzzer and do it yourself too.
Is there a preference to going all bald or just trimming?
So the Prophet ﷺ said that it's more virtuous to shave your head. Right? The Prophet ﷺ says, Rahimallahu al-muhalliqeen. May Allah have mercy on those who shave their head. And he said that 3 times. And he said, ثُمَّ الْمُقَصِّرِينَ. And then those that trim their hair as well. So there's more virtue for shaving your head, but it's not mandatory. It's not required. Alright. Most of us are going to be performing tamattu'. So I will explain tamattu' in more detail. Right? Hajj tamattu' is what the vast majority of us are going to be doing. And what that means is we're going to enter into the state of ihram twice. The first time is for umrah. So again, we depart from LAX, however your flight takes you. Before arriving in Jeddah, we're already going to be in the state of ihram. In that ihram, the intention is only for umrah. So we get to Mecca, we do our umrah, and after umrah, we shave or trim our head, and we have exited the state of ihram. So most of us are going to be in Mecca for about 4 nights before Hajj. So for those 4 nights in Mecca, we'll be living in Mecca like residents of Mecca. Wearing our normal clothes, fragrance, everything normal, going to the masjid, enjoying your time there, whatever it may be. And then we're going to enter ihram again for Hajj on the 8th. Alright, so tamattu' basically means that you're doing umrah and Hajj on one journey, but in 2 separate states of ihram. And that's what most of us will be doing, inshallah. So again, one ihram for umrah, finish your umrah, you're done. Then the second ihram for Hajj. Alright, ifrad is only if you're doing Hajj by itself, which is none of us. We're doing umrah and Hajj.
Can we change our abaya?
Yes. So for sisters, while in the state of ihram, you can change your clothes. Right? You can every day, every hour if you want. It's up to your discretion. Right? It's completely up to you. Right? Even for the brothers, they don't have to wear the same 2 white pieces of cloth. You can change it. If it gets dirty, you can change it, no problem.
That's like 3 sips of
Mm-hmm.
And another question about the farewell tawaf.
Uh-huh.
You're saying we have to do it at the end when we are leaving Makkah.
Mm-hmm.
But then you are saying that we can do it on 10th and or 11th.
That's the tawaful ifada. That's the one that's fard for Hajj.
Oh,
Yeah.
so we have to do 3, one with umrah.
So
one with
on our trip, we're going to end up doing 3, like minimum 3. Minimum 3. We'll get there. Yeah, you can sleep in your ihram.
If you don't want to know, that's not a possibility. You have to sleep there.
Yeah. But you can change it then.
Oh.
You can change it.
After we're done with the tawaf, if it's umrah or tawaf is fada, then sa'i. We're supposed to do 2 rak'ah by Maqam Ibrahim.
After the tawaf. After.
And then because of the crowd, if we do it inside,
Yeah, it's going to be somewhere in the masjid. It doesn't have to be behind Maqam Ibrahim specifically.
So, first floor, second floor, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Is the tawaf is done barefoot?
So I will get to that. You can wear slippers if you want, if in the state of ihram, but they should be clean. So you maybe take 2 pairs of slippers with you, one for outside, one for inside.
But everybody do barefoot.
Most people do it barefoot, but for some people who might have sensitive feet, they're not used to walking on marble. Maybe they have some injury. They can wear shoes or
Women can have socks, right?
women can wear socks. You can also wear shoes if you want. It's up to you, but they should be clean as long as they're clean. And since it's like there's cultural sensitivity, some people might be like, what in the world? They might get mad at you. Just be prepared. But you can wear shoes or sandals when doing tawaf.
So man can wear sandal too if somebody has the closet.
When doing tawaf, yes, they can.
But they can't wear socks.
They can't wear socks. We'll get there, slowly but surely.
I
Mhm.
mean, I know you're going for Hajj, but are you also going for umrah too?
Yeah, we're going to do both. So I'll explain it right now.
December, you're going.
Yeah, inshallah. In November.
Oh, November.
Inshallah. Alright, so before going for our journey, obviously, I'm sure all of you have been preparing. Alhamdulillah. Right? And now it's game time because it's only a week before departure. So part of that preparation obviously is spiritual, and I feel that is the most important aspect of preparation. And what I mean by spiritual preparation is that before going, we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness first and foremost. Right? We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our shortcomings, our mistakes, our faults, and we should and try to mend our relationships with people as well. That if there's any individual that we have some sort of conflict with or difficulties with, or we're going through some difficult times, we should apologize, make up, mend, right? Make up in terms of your relationships, and prepare to go for Hajj. And part of the spiritual preparation of Hajj is recognizing that, again, we're not going for vacation, right? You should not have the mindset that I'm going to go and I'm going to have a nice, mashallah, 5-star relaxing vacation, right? Although you are going on a VIP package or whatever, it's still an act of worship. And regardless of what accommodations you have, we are going to face challenges in Hajj, right? There are going to be difficult moments. It's going to be hot. It's going to be very humid. You're not used to that weather. There's going to be a lot of people, right? This is probably the most amount of people you've ever been around in your life. And people are going to be from literally every corner of the globe. And people's standards of hygiene are different. People's standards of personal space is different. And people's standards of what they consider to be courteous and normal is different. So for some people, they don't know what a line means. And that's just, they don't know any better. They're not used to standing in line. So you might be standing in line and 10 people cut in front of you. It's going to happen. Right? For some people, they don't know that there's something called personal space and you have your personal bubble. They'll be all up in your personal space. They don't know any better. So one of the most important things for Hajj in terms of preparation is this mindset of patience. Right? Having a mindset of patience and being extremely, extremely patient. And this is going to make or break your Hajj. Right? If you are patient and you're able to kind of deal with people and you always keep a smiling face and you don't get frustrated and upset and angry, you're going to have an awesome Hajj. Inshallah. If you're someone who gets annoyed very easily, right, and someone who gets bothered and frustrated, you're not going to have a very enjoyable time. So try to make this mindset up from now that, look, I'm not going for vacation. I'm going for an act of worship. And this act of worship is such that if I do it properly, I'm getting Jannah. So I need to be on my best behavior, my best manners, my best, morals and etiquettes. And don't worry about what other people are doing. Just worry about yourself. Right? And people might be pushing and nudging and shoving. Just because they're doing it doesn't mean you start doing it as well. All right? So just remember that the most important thing to pack with us, inshallah, is our patience. Physical packing, I'm sure all of you know what to take. I don't have to go through that. What I want to go through now is the actual step-by-step process of what we're going to be doing. So as I mentioned, all of us, we're going to be performing Hajj Tamattu'. So we are going to be traveling from LAX, and regardless of what flight pattern you're taking, whether it's Turkish Airlines, Saudi Airlines, all of us are going to end up in Jeddah. Right? So before landing in Jeddah, the plane is going to cross over the miqat. So before the plane crosses the miqat, we are going to be entering into the state of ihram for umrah. So the first ritual, the first act of worship we're doing on our journey is performing umrah. So we need to know how to do the umrah properly. Alright, so umrah is just 4 things. Right? Umrah is simply 4 things. Ihram, tawaf, sa'i, and shaving or trimming your hair. Right? So everyone should have this committed to memory. Umrah is 4 things. Number 1 is ihram. Right? Number 2 is tawaf. Number 3, sa'i. And number 4, shaving or trimming your hair. So the first thing we're going to do is enter into the state of ihram. And again, we enter into the state of ihram before crossing the miqat. And the sunnah way of doing so is that first and foremost, we should take a ritual bath. Right? The sunnah way of entering into ihram is that we should take care of our personal hygiene first. So we're going to get rid of any unwanted hair. We're going to trim our nails. We're going to take a bath. Now, since all of us are going to be in a plane, we should do this before what? Before traveling. Right? Before traveling, we should be in the state of personal hygiene, whatever it is. Then when we're on the plane, either we're entering on the plane or if you have a stopover, wherever your stopover is. So for example, those of us that are traveling Turkish Airlines will enter into the state of ihram at the Istanbul airport. For those of you that are on Saudi Airlines, you're going to do it on the plane. Now, for those of you on the plane, it might be difficult because space is limited and the bathrooms are limited. So once they announce that the miqat is coming up, there's going to be a lot of rush. So you might want to do it beforehand, right? So on the plane, we recommend that just make wudu, right? Make wudu, and men put on the 2 pieces of cloth, and the sisters just make wudu and you're wearing your normal clothes anyways, right? And then you should pray 2 rak'ahs. So for those of us traveling Turkish, we'll pray those 2 rak'ahs at the airport. For those of you traveling Saudi Airlines has a space for prayer on the plane. But again, space is limited, time is short, so you gotta gauge it properly. Right? In these 2 rak'ahs, in the first rak'ah you'll recite Surah Al-Kafirun, right? قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. In the second rak'ah, Surah Al-Ikhlas, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. And after those 2 rak'ahs, you're going to make your intention. And the intention now again is only for umrah. So you're going to say, Allahumma inni uridu al-umrah, fayassirha li wa taqabbalha minni. That, oh Allah, I intend to perform umrah, so make it easy for me and accept it from me. You do not have to say this in Arabic. You can say it in any language you're comfortable with. Because niyyah, intention, is an action of the heart anyways. So you don't have to verbalize it, you don't have to say it. But just in order to be like more focused, people recommend that you verbalize it. You can also just say labbaik Allahumma umrah. Right? Labbaik Allahumma umrah. So you make the intention, and after the intention you recite the talbiyah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. Again, I encourage everyone to memorize this before going and know the meaning of it. Right? Part of Hajj, again, is we want to reconnect with Allah, and we don't want to be saying things that we don't know the meanings of. Right? If you say things with meaning, it's much more powerful, there's much more benefit, there's much more value to it. So know what the meaning of this phrase means. Right? Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. Right? Now that you've done the intention and the talbiyah, you are now in the state of ihram. So now all of those prohibitions come into play. Right? You are now in the state of ihram, you're in the state of pilgrim sanctity. Right? Any questions on the ihram? So again, for those of us Turkish Airlines, we're going to do this process at the Istanbul airport. Those of you on Saudi Airlines, you're going to do it on the plane, inshaAllah. Just remember, on the plane, you're going to do it before crossing the miqat. The Saudi Airlines will announce it. They'll be like, oh, we're 1 hour away from the miqat, or half an hour away. But before that time, you want to have ample time to do it, just so that there's no rush in the bathrooms and stuff like that.
The 2 rak'ah for ihram, it doesn't have to be a group, it can be
Individual.
And if there is no space where we pay, we can do it on our
You can do it on your chairs. Because it's a nafila, it's a voluntary prayer, you can do it on your seat.
The talbiyah, I was reading the books. In some books, they say labbaika. Say labbaik, which is exactly correct. Labbaik or labbaika.
Both are correct. Yeah. If you're stopping, it's labbaik, but there's actually a fatha on the kaf. Alright. Now we're in the state of ihram, we're going to land into Jeddah. Right? And once we land into Jeddah, there's going to be a process. And this is where your patience starts. Right? You're going to be in the Hajj terminal. Just imagine like this, like, again, the most amount of people you've ever seen before. Right? Everyone has to process through customs. And mashallah, the customs officers in Jeddah are not like our TSA agents here in America. Right? Even the TSA agents here are not too nice anymore. But over there, they're even worse. Right? They like to take coffee breaks and tea breaks and cigarette breaks while processing thousands and thousands of passengers. So you might be in line for a long time. Just be mentally prepared that going through customs might be challenging. And what makes it more challenging is you're in the state of ihram. Right? So you're going to get through customs, process through customs. As soon as you get out of customs, where baggage claim is, Darus Salam, the team will be there and they'll gather you. They'll get you organized and they'll get you on your bus as soon as possible. Now, in terms of what I heard last year, they were out of the airport within 3 hours, which is really good. All right, they were out of the airport within 3 hours of landing. Sometimes it could take more. All right, I personally experienced, which was very difficult, that it took me 12 hours. 12 hours to clear immigration and customs and get on a bus and reach my hotel. By the time I reached the hotel at Mecca, it was 14 hours. So imagine, from time of landing, 14 hours later, I got to Mecca. But inshallah, it won't be like that. But I'm just saying that to be mentally prepared, that might happen. And those are things that aren't in anyone's control. Right? That's not in our control, that's not in your control. It's just upon what happens there. And that's why they say your patience begins as soon as you land. Alright, so we're going to clear customs, we're going to get on a bus, and we're going to go check into our hotel in Mecca. So for those of you that are with the IOK group, we're staying in the Hyatt, which is literally right across from the Haram. Right across from the Haram. We'll get there, we'll get our room keys, we'll check in, and we'll give time for people to rest and freshen up. So you're going to rest, you're going to freshen up, and then there'll be announced schedules of when we're going to do umrah. Right? So you can pick anyone that you want to go with, and there will be a group leader with you, there'll be an imam with you, and we'll go do the umrah together. Alright? So once we get to the hotel and we go, then we're going to go enter the masjid. And when we enter the masjid, as soon as we see the Kaaba, we'll pick a spot to stand off to the side and make dua. Because seeing the Kaaba for the first time is a very beautiful experience. Right? For those of you that are going for the first time that have never seen the Kaaba in person before, it's a very overwhelming feeling. Right? It's a very beautiful feeling seeing the Kaaba for the first time. There's all of these emotions and feelings that come over you. And even for those of you who have gone before, you'll feel that same thing. Right? Every time you go, you feel a certain feeling, a certain way. So at that moment is when du'as are accepted. So we're going to go stand in a place, we'll make dua. And once we're done with our dua, we are going to head towards the corner of the Kaaba with the black stone. Right? Al-Hajarul Aswad. So for men, right before getting to the black stone, we're going to uncover our right shoulder. Right? So up till this time, it's covered. But right before starting tawaf, we're going to uncover the right shoulder. And the first thing we do to start the tawaf is you do istinam. What istinam means is to greet the black stone. And the way we're going to greet the black stone is that we're going to raise our hands like we do in prayer. And you say, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Right, in the name of Allah, Allah is the greatest. So Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. And then you start your tawaf. And the way we do tawaf is we walk around the Kaaba counterclockwise. Right, you're walking around the Kaaba counterclockwise. And as you're walking around the Kaaba, you can recite any dua you want. You can do any dhikr you want. You can recite Quran. You can remain silent. There's nothing specific that you have to say. Right? There's no specific words that you have to recite or have to say. If you're looking for a particular dhikr, they say the best dhikr to do is Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Or you can recite Quran, you can make dua, whatever. Right? But as soon as you get to the Yemeni corner, which is the corner before the black stone, you're going to recite a verse from Surah Al-Baqarah. Right? رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. And you keep reciting that until you reach the black stone again. And once you reach the black stone, again you greet it, you raise your hand, you say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. So that is one circuit. We're going to do this how many times? 7 times. So we're walking around the Kaaba 7 times. Once we've completed the 7th circuit, we are going to go and find a space to pray 2 rak'ahs. Because every time you do tawaf, in order to make it complete, you have to pray 2 rak'ahs. Now the sunnah is to pray behind Maqam Ibrahim, Ibrahim's station. But praying here is impossible. Because there's what? Millions of people there. At this time, there's going to be thousands of people in the mataf. So the area around the Kaaba is called the mataf. And I believe, I was reading the stats, they're saying it accommodates 100,000 people an hour. That area accommodates 100,000 people an hour. So there's literally thousands of people there at the same time. So it's nearly impossible to pray there. So what we do is we find any spot in the masjid that's open, that's set for prayer, and we're going to pray our 2 rak'ahs. You pray your 2 rak'ahs. Again, the sunnah is to recite Surah Al-Kafirun and Surah Al-Ikhlas. After praying these 2 rak'ahs, we make dua. After making dua, drink a lot of Zamzam. And Zamzam is readily available. Right? There's coolers all over the masjid. There's like water coolers set up everywhere where you can have access to Zamzam.
So I heard, is the pace the same through all 7 tawaf?
So there's a lot of people. Right? I just imagine yourself being surrounded by thousands of people. So it's going to be at the pace of the crowd.
Because I heard the last couple of them you need to speed up.
It's impossible to speed up or slow down. You're basically how the group, how it's moving.
That is the big one.
Yeah.
They control everything.
You don't have to even walk.
Literally, if you just stand still, you'll get pushed along.
I have one question. When you
Mhm.
this time so Bismillah Allah Akbar.
Yeah.
Do you have to gesture to kiss the stone or you just
Yeah, gesture and you kiss. It's like you kiss your hands.
you just put your hand like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Prophet ﷺ, the sunnah was that he would kiss the stone every time, but it's impossible to kiss the stone every time. So when he did Hajj, the Prophet ﷺ did Hajj. He did tawaf on a camel, right? And he had a stick with him, and every time he would pass the black stone, he would touch the black stone with the stick, and then he would kiss the stick.
So you raise the
Yeah.
hand,
So you raise your
kiss
hands
your
and you can
hand,
kiss. Yeah.
then come with the kiss.
Exactly.
Alhamdulillah.
Exactly. All right. So after the 7 times around the Kaaba, then we're going to do the 2 raka'ahs. After the 2 raka'ahs, we're going to go do sa'i. So after the tawaf and the 2 raka'ahs, your tawaf is done. So 2 acts are done. Ihram is done. Tawaf is done. The third thing is sa'i. So sa'i is done in a place called the mas'a. Right. The mas'a is this. It's part of the masjid. Right. This long part of the masjid. The bottom part here is where Mount Safa is, and the part here is where Mount Marwa is. So we're going to finish our tawaf, and there's signs that guide you on how to come here. Right? Now in the mas'a, mashallah, there's actually 4 levels. There's a basement level, there's a ground floor, there's a second floor, there's a third floor, and then there's a 4th floor for electric wheelchairs, if you want. Depending on the rush and the crowd, we're going to go to one of these levels to do it. And what you do is there's a certain verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, Inna Safa wal Marwata min sha'airillah. So we recite that verse as we're going there. And once you get to Mount Safa, we start the sa'i by facing the Qibla and making dua. Right, you face the Qibla, you make dua, and after you make dua, you start walking towards Marwa. Right, and again, when you're walking towards Marwa, you can recite anything you want, you can make any dua, recite Quran, anything. You can remain silent, you can have a conversation with someone as long as you're talking about something good, right? But right, engage in some sort of act of worship. Now, as you're walking from Safa to Marwa, we're going to come across a portion that's lighted with green lights. Right? In that portion with green lights, men are supposed to run. The women stay walking, but the men are supposed to run through that green portion. When we get to Marwa, same thing. You're going to face the Qibla and make dua. So from Safa to Marwa, that's 1. From Marwa back to Safa, that's 2. Alright, then from Safa to Marwa, that's 3. We're going to do it 7 times total. So we're going to start at Safa and we'll end at Marwa. Alright, once we're done with that 7th circuit, your actions of Umrah are complete. You've done your Ihram, you've done your Tawaf, you've done your Sa'i. The only thing that's left now is shaving or trimming your hair. Alright, so for the sisters, you're going to find people standing there with scissors. Don't cut your hair there. That's unhygienic, it's not clean, and you're not supposed to do that. For the sisters, you're going to go back to your hotel room and you can cut each other's hair. And again, for sisters, what you do is you can just tie your hair in the back and cut 1 fingertip off. Right, 1 fingertip off, and you have now exited the state of Ihram. So you've exited the state of Ihram, you can put on your normal clothes again, fragrance, all the restrictions are lifted. For men, there are barber shops in our hotel. Right, the building where our hotel is, there's several barber shops. We'll go there. Usually it's like 10 riyals, and you can either trim your hair or you can shave it. It's up to you. Completely up to you.
So men and sisters can do the cutting or trimming in the hotel.
Yeah, it should be done in the hotel. It's better. So for the men, the barber shops are there. For the sisters, just go up to your room and do it. All right.
After Sa'i, is there any two
Nothing. After Sa'i, you're done. After Sa'i, you head
No
back.
prayer after Sa'i.
Yeah, no prayer after Sa'i.
So is that as a group or just doing individually?
As a group, we'll be together, inshallah, as much as possible.
50 people be walking at the same time?
We're going to try our best. You'll be separate. I'm sure you'll be separated, but we're going to try our best to stay together as a group. All right. Now, in terms of time, right, the tawaf, again, depending on the rush, it can take anywhere from like half an hour to 1 hour, just depending on how many people are there. Hajj time, again, it's crazy. Like I just again want you to imagine, like just being amongst the most people you've ever been amongst in your life before. It's very, very crowded. It's very, very rushed. And just be expected that you're going to get nudged and you're going to get pushed, etc. Right? That's just part of the process of your tawaf. Right? Same thing with sa'i. There's going to be a lot of people, like the most amount of people you've ever seen before in your life. So the tawaf, anywhere I say between half an hour to an hour. The sa'i it's quite long. Right? I think it's saying it's each leg is 12 to 50, or is it 370 meters? Right, 370 meters. No, sorry. Yeah. All right. So the entire process of sa'i, I would say about 1 hour. About 1 hour. So technically, you could be done with your umrah within 2 hours, but I would give you a range between 2 to 4, just because of the rush and depends on how many people. So expect when you're going for umrah, you're going to be gone for at least 2 to 4 hours.
Are you planning to do downstairs or?
Downstairs.
You said they would shave or trim their hair after umrah, but when are they going to do after hajj?
Again, shave or trim. Again. So if you're going to shave your head, you end up shaving it twice. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so good question. So for tawaf and sa'i both, for men while in the state of ihram, again you have to have your upper bone exposed of your foot. So but you can wear your sandals, but again just make sure that they're clean. So what people do is they'll have a pair of sandals for outside and one pair of sandals for inside.
Tawaf, if not possible, around the Kaaba,
Yeah, there's enough space where you can always do it there. You can always do it there, inshallah. But there are different spots to do it. So there's like a second, a third floor, and then there's a roof as well. But that becomes a lot longer. A lot longer. Go ahead.
If we wanna do like every time we go to the first Umrah, inshallah, we go back to the hotel, and then the following day we go to enjoy praying in Haram. So every time we get to the Haram, we have to do the tawaf.
You don't have to. You don't have to do tawaf.
That's not tahiyat al-masjid tawaf.
It counts as that, but you don't have to do it.
Oh.
You don't have to do it. But okay, khair. Now that we're done with the umrah, right? You're done with your umrah. We're going to be in Mecca for 4 nights. So in those 4 nights that you're there, the best thing to do is to be in the masjid as much as possible. But again, it's going to be a lot of rush. And sometimes, like if you want to get inside the masjid, you have to leave your room at least 2 hours before prayer time. If you go only like after adhan time happens, you're going to get to your hotel lobby and you're going to get stuck. There's that many people, right? So if you want to get into the masjid, at least 2 hours before prayer, you're going to have to make it in. So during Hajj, you can't really enjoy the haram. I'm just going to be honest. There's just too many people. But you can make your own spirituality by just, figuring out the timings of what the best time to go and come is. But in those 4 nights, we're going to try our best to pray all the prayers inside the haram. And then also, the best thing to do during these 4 days is do as much tawaf as possible. So you can do tawaf at any time. And the reason why this is the best thing to do there is because this is an act of worship that you can't do anywhere else. Right? Tawaf is only something you can do in Mecca. So you want to do as many tawafs as possible, but remember every tawaf is 7 times followed by 2 rak'ahs.
And can we take break in between sa'i or in between tawaf?
Yeah, so sa'i is only done once. Right? There's no such thing as a nafil sa'i.
No, I understand, but at the 7 times it doesn't have to be in a row.
Yeah, you can wait. Yeah, you can take a break. You can take a break. You can sit down. You can drink zamzam in between, fully up to your comfort.
What time is it, like the least amount of people, say at 2 a.m. at night?
There's never. There's always a lot of people. During Hajj, there's always a lot of people.
Even when it's very hot.
But the best time to do tawaf would be in the evenings then, after Isha, because the crowd does thin out a little bit. But even that thinning out is not like really significant, but it thins out a little bit, and it's a lot cooler. You're not going to have the blazing sun over your head.
Between nafil tawaf and nafil prayer inside the Masjid al-Haram, which one is more rewarding? Between these two,
Tawaf.
tawaf is more rewarding.
Go ahead.
Do you still recommend doing all of the prayers like doing like heat is that extreme or is that
In the masjid?
yeah.
Take your own personal safety into consideration. Like if you're not used to heat and you'll find yourself getting like really fatigued or like heat stroke, whatever, then don't go. Just go in the evenings. That's fine. You can pray in your hotel room. The hotel has a prayer space as well, like a musalla that you can pray there. Just keep your own personal safety in mind, and just remember that you're there for Hajj. So you want to preserve your energy and your health for Hajj.
Is it same? I'm sorry, is it same to pray in the hotel lobby when the Jama is Masjid al-Haram is same or
So
some saying
yeah.
same, some
There are fatawa there. The scholars say that it's the same reward. Right? You can pray from your hotel musalla and pray behind the imam of the haram. It's the same reward. Some of the scholars say it's okay. It's better if you actually go, right? And the rows are connected, but you can pray in your hotel if need be.
On the day of Arafah, are people fasting?
Not while doing Hajj.
Oh,
Not during Hajj.
But
Here people will be fasting.
But
Not those performing Hajj.
Oh.
If you're doing Hajj, don't fast.
You said that the men had to either cut an inch of their hair or shave it off completely. My hair is shorter than an inch, but I have to shave it off completely.
That's a good question.
Better grow it out.
It'll grow enough for you to shave again. Go ahead.
So, quick question. You said you can do tawaf as many times as you want. For a female who's with a group, not married, can I go and
Yeah.
do by myself?
By yourself. Basically, those 4 nights that were in Mecca, you're free to do whatever you want in the city. Yeah, it's your own personal time. We're gonna have a program where there's like lectures and talks and stuff like that, and we'll try to arrange where at least once a day that, along with the group leader, one of the imams, we go do tawaf together. But beyond that, it's your own personal time for worship. So just being in the masjid as much as possible, reciting Quran. If you want to take some literature, read a book, whatever it may be. Even just being inside the masjid and looking at the Kaaba is rewarding.
So,
Go ahead.
in the state of Ihram, guys, can you wear hats or those other fancy things that go like,
Not while in ihram. Not while in ihram. You can have like that little mistering fan thing,
Yeah.
but not like a hat.
I don't know. So you're saying like you have to be in that state of like cleanliness, like just purity. So can you bring soap with you, like fresh soap? Is that correct?
Like unscented soap for ihram.
Like soap.
While you're in ihram, the soap that you should be unscented.
Okay.
But afterwards, you can use scented soap and whatever.
Do they sell that?
It's in the hotels like any other hotel. It's all provided. Yeah, everything is there.
I'm sorry. When you do nafal tawaf, suppose the prayer time azan I hear,
Uh-huh.
me and my wife doing tawaf and azan is there,
Yeah.
so we have to go for the prayer first, stop the tawaf, right?
Yeah.
So can we do it in the same place while you're doing the tawaf, or you have to go to the mosque?
So for the men, you can pray right there. But what they do is about half an hour to an hour before prayer time, they start sending the women back to the women's area for prayer. So if you're with your wife, you want to stay close with her. So once they start sending her back, you can break your tawaf and go pray and then come back and you just restart where you left off. All right, one important thing that I forgot to mention, when doing tawaf, you have to be in a state of wudu. Remember that. When you're doing tawaf, you have to have wudu.
So what is the personal schedule? For example, are we supposed to plan on reversing our night and day so we sleep after Fajr and then we wake up at Dhuhr and then stay up again until...
It's all up to you. It's all up to you.
But what is a group going to do?
For those 4 nights in Mecca, it's all individual worship. It's all individual worship. There'll be some group lectures daily, and there'll be a time for that. But in terms of your own personal worship, it's up to you.
But what do you guys do?
It's all individualized.
I know most people that stay up after work.
So basically, what I try to do is I try my best to make it to the masjid for all the prayers, and then usually from Maghrib to Isha, I'll stay in the masjid, and I'll stay in the masjid after Isha for a bit. And then I'll try to get there before Fajr, about an hour before Fajr, and be in the masjid again. And then during Hajj, I try to do 1 tawaf a day in the evening. And I know people that, mashallah, they do tawaf after every prayer. They got a lot of himma and strength.
Is it true that praying inside the Masjid al-Haram is 100,000 times more reward?
So not just the masjid, the entire haram. The entire haram, it's 100,000 times multiplied in terms of reward.
Is it not more rewardable by praying instead of tawaf? My question.
Tawaf, because this is the only place you can do it.
Tawaf is
More rewarding. Every step in tawaf you take, sin is being forgiven, your rank is being elevated. There's a hadith that says there's 70 angels waiting at Ruknul Yamani. But when you reach Ruknul Yamani, they make dua for you until you reach the black stone again. So there's a lot of reward for tawaf.
Is it mandatory to touch the stone?
Is it mandatory to touch the stone? No. Sunnah. If you want to try touching the stone, you can try for it, but it's like the Royal Rumble.
Don't put this in jeopardy.
When you're doing tawaf, you do that, I mean, you say that most people try to
after every prayer? Is that 7 times?
So each tawaf is 7 times.
After every prayer?
If you want. It's all, like, again, after your umrah is done, it's all personal worship. It's all personal worship. But the best thing you can do while in Mecca is tawaf.
After prayer?
It doesn't have to be after prayer. It can be after, before, any time during the day you can do tawaf. But any time you do tawaf, it's 7 times.
For second umrah, if you want to do another umrah before Hajj, is it going, can we make it like a group if anyone else is
Yeah.
interested?
So if anyone wants to do a second umrah, you have the option to do so. And all you do is from your hotel, you take a taxi to what they call Masjid Aisha. Right, that's where the miqat is. So you'll go there, you'll do your intention in talbiyah, and then you come back and do the same thing, tawaf and sa'i, and then trim your hair. So you can make a group of friends if you want to go together. That's perfectly fine.
So we do and the salah in Masjid Aisha and then come back.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? What did you say? Aisha?
It's called Masjid Aisha. So basically, if someone wants to do a second umrah, right? If someone wants to do a second umrah, they have to go out to the miqat again. So the miqat there is Masjid Aisha. It's about, I'd say, 20-minute drive from the hotel. So you're going to take a taxi, you'll get there, and in that masjid you'll do your 2 raka'ahs, you'll make your intention, the talbiyah, and then come back and do umrah again.
Is this different than Al-Tan'im or it's the same one?
Same. But it's up to you if you want to do multiple umrahs or not. I personally don't suggest it, just because you want to preserve your energy for Hajj, because you're there for Hajj. And the best thing you can do here anyways is tawaf. If you've done one umrah, alhamdulillah, it's more than enough. Right? Then while you're there, just do as many tawafs as possible. So again, a hypothetical plan for everyone. If everyone needs like time, right? A good generic plan would be revolve or organize your day around the prayer times. Just make sure that all the 5 daily prayers you're praying inside the masjid. But again, during Hajj, in order to do so, you have to leave at least minimum 1 hour before, better 2 hours before the prayer time. And the prayer times there, it's whatever your app says. As soon as the prayer time comes in, they make the adhan, and within 5 minutes they'll give the iqamah. Right? So whatever the app says, you try to make it to the masjid. Beyond that, you should try to spend some time where you're just sitting in the masjid. So for example, maybe after Fajr, you can remain in the masjid till Ishraq and pray your Ishraq and come back to the hotel. And then in the evening, from Maghrib to Isha, stay in the masjid. Some people, if they want to stay longer, they stay from Asr till Isha. It's all up to you. It's all up to your own personal discretion how you want to spend your time worshipping in Mecca until Hajj starts. And our hotel is close. Again, it's literally like you get out the lobby and you cross a street that's like this wide and you're in the haram. It's not too far. It's very close.
I have one question that somebody asked me. Is there anything like Qaza prayer, like the prayer that we did not do it, young age or laziness?
Yeah, so our teachers say there is such thing as qada umri, like any prayers that you have not made, you have to make them up for the rest of your life.
Okay, so is it okay to do more prayer over there to cover the umri Qaza prayer?
Yeah, you can do that. Definitely.
Can you take snacks with you?
Yes. So you can take we're going to give you like a shoe bag, right? You can put your shoes in it, you can put snacks in it. You can, if you want to take a water bottle, you can fill it with Zamzam. All right.
Could I comment?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen about, based on my experience about the timing, the best thing is if you could maybe aim to be there for Tahajjud.
And stay.
Your Tahajjud, stay your Fajr, stay the Ishraq, and then you come back.
Yeah.
At that time, the breakfast is usually open.
As well, yeah.
So that have your breakfast, and then you've got about 5 or 6 hours until Zohar time.
Nice sleep, yeah.
That would be a good time.
Yeah.
Catching
That is actually, so basically for the group lectures, most of them are going to be before Fajr on the rooftop. So if you're with us, traveling with us in Dar es Salaam, we're going to have group lectures, and most of them will be Tahajjud time on the rooftop of the Haram. So we're going to go there for Tahajjud, we'll pray, we'll have a short reminder, we'll stay for Fajr in Ishraq, and then we'll come back to the hotel. Inshallah. Mm-hmm.
They were going to add a retractable rooftop over the car. Is it?
Not anytime soon.
I thought it's in place already.
It's not there.
It's fine. Big project. So you mentioned that during the Hajj days from 8 to 12, you will be performing the tawaf as well?
One tawaf.
So you will be commuting from...
We'll get there. All right. So let's go through the days of Hajj. All right. Because we don't have much time left. All right. At the end, we'll do all the questions at the end, inshallah. Alright, so we're going to be in Mecca after Umrah for 4 nights. And then on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, right, the 8th of Dhul Hijjah is called Yawmut Tarwiyah. Right, on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, we are going to enter into the state of Ihram again. But this time we're just going to do it from our hotel room. So again, you can take a shower, bathe, trim your hair, trim your nails, get rid of any unwanted hair on the body, whatever. Right? The men put on the 2 pieces of cloth. Women wear whatever clothes you're comfortable with. And then pray 2 rak'ahs. And then do the intention in talbiyah. And this time the intention is for Hajj. That, oh Allah, I'm intending to perform Hajj, so make it easy for me and accept it from me. Alright, so we'll enter into the state of Ihram for Hajj from Mecca itself, from our hotel room. Alright, then on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, that morning after we're in Ihram, according to the bus schedule, a bus is going to come to our hotel and pick us up and take us to Mina. Alright, now when going to Mina, we're not going to be taking all our luggage with us. We're going to leave our big suitcases with Darus Salam. They will store it for us in a safe, secure location. We're only going to be taking hand baggage, right? And you do not want to travel heavy during Hajj. You want to be as light as possible. So for guys, for men, we're wearing ihram on the 8th, 9th, and part of the 10th. So you only need clothes for basically the night of the 10th, 11th, and 12th. So for 3 days. So pack enough clothing for 3 days. And we're not like there to show off, and you don't need to, have new clothes every single day. If you're comfortable, you can wear the same clothes for a few days. It's all right. Just pack as lightly as possible. Right? When I go for Hajj, all I have is a backpack, like a travel backpack. I have 1 pair of clothes in there. I'm good to go. Because I have my ihram and I have that, and I'm ready. For sisters, you might need a little bit more because you guys can change your clothes as much as possible. But just remember, pack light. A good guidance is just take your hand carry with you. Right? If you can pack all your stuff into your hand carry, you're good to go. So in that hand carry, changes of clothes, any medication that you may have, make sure that you keep it with you, and all of your toiletries like your toothbrush and your toothpaste and stuff like that. All right. So pack light for these days. All right. So we're gonna get on the bus. The bus is gonna take us from the hotel to Mina. Once we get to Mina, it's like a 15-minute drive. It's not far at all. You get to Mina, we're gonna get off, and they're going to put us in our tents. So we have an assigned location in Mina, and in that assigned location there are certain tents. Now when I say tent, it's not like a camping tent, right? It's a room with a drywall. There's a canvas canopy. There's like, mashallah, split air conditioners, so it's cool, but it's so hot that sometimes it's still hot. Remember, it's going to be hot. In each room there might be 20 to 25 people, but they're all from your group. So the sisters will be there with the sisters, and the brothers will be next door with the brothers. And in that room, space is limited, right? Space is limited, and you're basically going to have a futon, right? A futon is like a chair that folds into a chair, then it folds into a mattress, right? So, and you'll be given a pillow and blanket there as well. So we're going to set up in Mina. We'll settle down. We'll rest. We'll relax, and then on this day, all we do is we stay in Mina. We're going to pray Dhuhr. We're going to pray Asr, we're going to pray Maghrib, we're going to pray Isha, and then we're going to pray Fajr the following day. Now in terms of like food and drink, it's all taken care of. You do not have to worry about any food or drink. It's like readily available in excess and abundance. Right? You don't have to worry about anything.
Are there restrooms?
Yes, of course. There's restrooms in the camps. Right? It's a public restroom, but Darus Salam does a really good job of keeping them as clean as possible. But it is a wet bathroom concept. Are you guys familiar with the wet bathroom concept? It's made out of tile and it's always wet.
So all these prayers are as a group or as a...
Yeah, we'll pray together as a group in our tent. In our tent. Yeah.
Do they still have the flat bathroom or like the one we have?
No, they have American toilets.
Oh, okay.
But
15 years ago I didn't see that.
yeah, so no, it's regular toilets, right? Now they have the flat one too if you prefer that. They have both options. But again, be prepared for this, right? It's not going to be the same comfort level as you have here. And for us as Americans, we're really spoiled and we're not used to like difficulty and hardship. But this might be a little bit difficult and hard for you because you're not going to be comfortable sleeping on a futon, and we're not used to using public restrooms all the time. And the public restroom there is not like a public restroom here, right? When I say public, it's like, again, it's like makeshift, made out of tile, and there's a shower and a toilet in the same stall. So it's like the combo. Right, so you might want to take your own like toiletries with you. They have toilet paper and stuff like that to clean. There's someone cleaning every time, but it is a wet bathroom concept. Now, according to the rules of tahara, if you have water and you spray, it becomes clean. Right? Water cleanses everything. But again, they do a good job cleaning it. So don't be too concerned, don't be too worried. Alright? Now we're in Mina. Yeah, there's showers and bathrooms both. Yeah, you can take a shower. It won't, because it's you can wash it off before. Yeah.
I suppose there won't be hot and cold water, just one water, right?
It's just hot. There's a cold tap, but it's also hot. Because it's a water tanker, right? And the tanker is being beat by the sun all day long. Bring your own towel. Bring your own towel. All right.
On the Mina tent, do they have little like bed sheet on the
Yeah. They give you a bed sheet and a pillow. You don't need to take your own. You have a bed sheet and a pillow. All right. So we're in Mina for this one night here. On the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, then Fajr. All right. Now the 9th of Dhul Hijjah is the most important day. This is Yawmu Arafah. So basically, sometime after Fajr on the 8th, we're going to wake up and we're going to have breakfast, but be on standby and ready to leave. Right? And you're going to leave Mina, and you're not going to return for how long now?
3 days.
One night.
Mina, we're going to go to Muzdalifah.
We're going to go to Arafah, Muzdalifah, and be back. So one night.
Okay.
You're going to be gone for one night. So you can take a backpack with you. You can take your shoe bag with you, put some snacks in it and things like that, and just take that with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the train. Right? So there's a train that connects Mina to Arafah, to Muzdalifah, back to Mina. So we're going to leave our camp as a group. We're going to walk to the train station. The walk might be like 15-20 minutes, but again, it's going to be hot. Even the morning, although the sun is not out yet, it's still hot. So,
are you climbing?
Huh?
Are you climbing up?
There's some stairs. There's some stairs that you might have to go up. There's ramps, but there's for people that have wheelchairs. There's accommodations there. So we'll get to the train. The train will take us to Arafah. That train ride is like 10 minutes max. Right? We're going to get off at Arafah, and maybe from the train to the Arafah camp is another 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk, and we'll set up in Arafah. Now Arafah is also one big tent, but now the tent is a lot larger. So instead of only like 25 people, there might be 100 people with you, 200 people with you. And there aren't really accommodations because you're not sleeping there. So they might have some chairs and things like that, but mostly it's carpet. There's some pillows. And we end up in Arafah, usually before Dhuhr time. Now in Arafah, what's going to happen is as soon as Dhuhr time comes in, right, there's going to be a main sermon, and they're going to play that over the radio and things like that. You can hear it. It happens in the masjid in Arafah. But what we're going to do is we're going to have our own sermon in the tent. So one of the imams will give a sermon, right? We'll give a khutbah that reminds people about the importance of Arafah and what you're supposed to do on that day, etc. And then we're going to pray Dhuhr and Asr, but at the time of Dhuhr. Right, so there will be adhan, iqama, we'll pray 2 raka'ahs for Dhuhr, iqama again 2 raka'ahs for Asr. Combined. Right, this was the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we pray Dhuhr and Asr together at the time of Dhuhr, and then the rest of that time, all the way until Maghrib, is wuquf in Arafah. Now, what that means is we're present there, but that entire time should be spent engaged in worship. So either we're reading Quran, we're making dua, we're doing dhikr, or we're engaged in worship. This is like game time. Right? Arafah is game time. This is the day where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives the most people. This is where we make our hajj. And this is why we say that you should have du'as prepared from now. Because most of us, we're not used to making dua for long periods of time. The maximum we do maybe is 10 minutes. In Ramadan, mashallah, the imam might do like half an hour. And after that, we run out of things to ask for. Right? So make lists of dua for now. Anything you want for yourself, anything you want for your family, your children, your parents, your siblings, your relatives, your aunts and uncles, whoever it may be. Right? Oftentimes what we do is we take dua requests from all the students here. So they send us, requests, and we do dua for them all day long. Once we run out, me and Sheikh Nu'man, we start going through our contact list. Just make dua for everyone in our contact list. Right? Just make dua for everybody and anybody, and especially yourself. Right? So you spend all that time making dua. You can be inside the tent, you can be outside the tent, whatever. But remain in the camp. Some people, as she was saying, want to go to Jabal Rahmah and climb the mountain. Don't do that. Don't leave your tent. If you leave your tent, you're going to get lost. and we'll see you after Hajj, inshallah. Just stay in your tent. Right, and all your food and things are taken, so you don't have to worry about that. All of that is taken care of. So we're going to be in Arafah again from midday till Maghrib. All right, and that entire time is dua, ibadah, worship, Quran. If you get tired, you can rest, no problem. You can lay down, you can take a nap, no issues whatsoever. All right, there's restrooms there similar to the ones in Mina. It's private, it's cleaned, right, just like the ones in Mina. So everything, all the accommodations are there. Now at Maghrib time, as soon as Maghrib time happens, we're not going to pray Maghrib in Isha in Arafah. We're going to leave Arafah. So after sunset, we're going to leave Arafah again by train. Now leaving Arafah after Maghrib is perhaps one of the most difficult parts of Hajj, because you have limited space, you have 3 million people all leaving Arafah at the same time to go where? Muzdalifah. So I want you to imagine like a huge exodus of people. Of 3 million people in a limited space. So it's like kind of intense. It's kind of crazy. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave Arafah and we're going to take the train again. So we'll be as a group and we'll be together as a group, but it's going to be a lot of rush and commotion and a lot of chaos. Just be mentally prepared for that. And we're going to get to the train and we'll take the train to Muzdalifah. All right, again, the train ride maybe 10 minutes, but maybe to get on the train it might take an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. 4 hours? Allah knows. Alright? Go ahead.
On the day of Arafah, when you're at Arafah, where do you get, or can you eat and where do you get food from?
Yeah, so that's provided first. They'll have a huge lunch spread, there's snacks, there's water, everything is taken care of. So in terms of like food and drink, that's one thing you do not have to worry about. It's in abundance.
But in the meantime, eating is too much when I end up in the bathroom.
Yeah, you don't want to eat a lot. You do not want to eat a lot. Especially because in Muzdalifah, the bathroom situation is not the best at all. Alright, so once we get to Muzdalifah, Darul Salam has an area actually set up for us. But it's no tent. It's you under the open sky. But it's not like, when we think about camping here, you think about like beautiful stars and it's like nice and peaceful and calm. It's not like that. It's like crazy and chaos and hectic. But we have a place set up. We'll go there, we'll set up camp. I think they're going to provide us with maybe, again, a futon or a sleeping bag or something like that. So as soon as we arrive in Muzdalifah, we get to our camp, we're going to pray Maghrib and Isha at the time of Isha. So we'll pray Maghrib. Immediately after Maghrib, we pray 2 rak'ahs for Isha. And then that night is meant for resting. That night is meant for just what? You just spent all day in dua in Arafah, you're going to be exhausted and tired, you want to rest that night. The only thing you do on that night is collect stones for stoning. So you want to collect enough stones to stone on the 10th, 11th, and 12th. So on the 10th, 7 stones. On the 11th, 21. And on the 12th, 21. So how many stones total should you have? 49. Minimum. And I think Darul Salam will give you like a nice little pouch where you can put your stones in it. So we're going to collect our stones. We'll go to sleep, inshallah. Then we're going to wake everyone up at Fajr time. All right, wake up as soon as Fajr comes in. We'll wake everyone up. We're going to pray Fajr together. And then after Fajr, this is the wuquf in Muzdalifah. This is where we make dua for a moment in Muzdalifah. And that fulfills the mandatory aspect. Once we're done with that, we go back to the train station and come back to Mina. Now this is the most busy day of Hajj. Right, the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, which is called Yawmul Nahr, is the day of sacrifice. This is the busiest day. So as soon as we get back, the first thing we're going to do is stone Jamaratul Aqaba. So again, the advantage of where we're staying in Mina is that it's really close to the Jamarat. It's literally like a 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk, and you're at the Jamarat. For the people that are in the actual North American tent, it's an hour walk. Maybe even more sometimes. So we're going to go and stone Jamaratul Aqaba. So the way we do it is there's a certain pathway, you follow it, you get to the Jamarat, it's a huge wall. Like literally probably, it's a cement wall from maybe this wall to that wall. It's really large and wide now. And we're going to throw 7 stones. So every stone we say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. So we stone it 7 times and we're done. We're going to come back to our Mina camp and we're going to relax and rest. All right, and we're going to wait for them to tell us that our animal has been sacrificed. Right? As soon as we get that news, we can now exit the state of ihram by shaving or trimming our head. So sisters, again, you gather your hair in the back, cut off 1 fingertip, For men, either shave or trim.
Barber is there.
There's barbers in Mina. After the sacrifice. There's barbers in Mina, but against a lot of rush. So Darus Salam is going to try to have barbers in the camp as well. Some people, they take their own, trimmer and they'll do it themselves. It's up to you.
I missed the part about from Muzdalifah you go back to Mina, and then you need to go to Haram Sharif for that.
Not yet. Almost. First we do the jamarat. Jamarat, then the animal sacrifice, then we shave or trim our head. Then you can change back into your normal clothes. You change it.
So for the 12, you don't need to be in your state of Ihram?
No. Alright? You're partially out of ihram. Alright? So once you shave or trim your head, you can put on your normal clothes and everything. And then we're just hanging out in Mina until the scheduled time to go and do Tawaful Ifadah. So Darus Salam, again, they're going to arrange for it. It might be sometime in the evening. So that evening what we'll do is from our camp, we'll take a bus. And that bus will take us to the Haram. And we'll do our Tawaful Ifadah. So 7 times around the Kaaba, 2 raka'ahs. But we'll also do the Sa'i for Hajj. So the whole process might take 2, 3, 4 hours. And then we'll get back on the bus and come back to Mina.
So this tawaf men can do it without ihram?
Exactly. This tawaf is done without being in the 2 pieces of cloth. Alright. So this is
After that we are
fully out of ihram. Fully out of ihram then. Alright. So this is the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah. It's the busiest day. Now again, if you don't remember all of this stuff, no worries, because we'll be with you the whole time. Literally. Like myself and Sheikh Nu'man and all of the other imams and shuyukh will be with you every single moment, literally, in Hajj. We're going to be staying in the same tent together, and just be like, rest assured that everything that needs to be done will get done at its appropriate time, despite any delays and logistical difficulties. Alright? So 10th of Dhul Hijjah, busy day. Right? Now we come back to Mina, we just rest and relax. The 11th of Dhul Hijjah. Right? The 11th of Dhul Hijjah is where we stone all 3 jamarat. That's the only thing you have to do on the 11th. So we're going to be in Mina. Again, in Mina, we'll have programs, we'll have talks and lectures, but it's all individual worship time. And actually, the days of Mina are sometimes the best days of Hajj, because we're staying together, and this is where you build really good relationships with people. And you build lifetime relationships. Right? I mean, we're still in contact with all of the Hujjaj that have ever gone with us. So I've been going since, I think, 2013, I want to say. Right, 2013. And every year we have like a WhatsApp group, and those WhatsApp groups are still active. Right, we're still in touch, we still talk to each other. So you build these lifelong relationships in Mina. Now on the 11th of Dhul Hijjah, we're going to go after Dhuhr time. Because the time is after Dhuhr. Obviously we're going to wait till it cools down, so we might go after Asr, when there's less sun, less heat. And we're going to go stone the Jamarat. So this is actually a really good picture. Right? This here is the structure for the Jamarat that they built recently. So if you see this first hole here, that's the actual wall. That's Jamaratul Aqaba. That's the first one. This is the second, and this is the third. And if you'll notice, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels. Right? There's a ground floor first, second, third, and then the roof. Right? So basically, our camp will take us, I believe, up to the 3rd or 4th level. Right? So our camp, the way it goes is you walk out your camp. It will take you to an escalator. The escalator will take you to this right here, this bridge right here. You walk down this bridge and you come to this first Jamara, and you stone it 7 times. So Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Now after stoning it 7 times, we're going to come and stand off to the side and make dua. Then we'll move on to the second, stone it 7 times, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Then we come off and make dua. And then we'll do the third one, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. And then no dua afterwards, we go straight back to our camp. So again, the whole process might take half an hour. It might take about half hour depending on the rush. And inshallah, we'll try to gauge it where there's less rush and there's less heat. So it's comfortable. That's all you have to do on the 11th. That is the only rite, that's the only ritual that's on the 11th. Clear? Yes?
Darussalam will provide daily activities.
Yeah. Exactly. Go ahead. There was a question? Tayammum? There's water available everywhere, so wudu. Yeah. But you don't need wudu for this. To stone the Jamarat, you don't need to be in wudu. The only thing you need wudu for is tawaf and prayer. All right. On the 12th, all we have to do is the exact same thing. So this is a picture of the inside. This is what the stone wall looks like. It's really wide, and mashallah, there's a lot of people. All right. On the 12th, we're going to do the exact same thing. But for our group, we're going to stone before Zawal. Or we're going to stone before Zawal time. And we're going to stone the Jamarat. We're going to go back to our camp. And we're going to take the bus to Mecca and do Tawaful Wida'. Alright, we're going to do our Tawaful Wida', which is the farewell Tawaf. Again, 7 times and then 2 raka'ahs. And after that, we're going to go to Jeddah. Right?
This time?
Huh? No sa'i. Tawaful, just Tawaf and 2 raka'ahs. Alright, so we'll do our Tawaful Wida' and we'll go to Jeddah. And Dar es-Salaam has arranged for us to stay there for 1 night. Basically, we're going to go there, you're going to rest and relax, you're going to be exhausted. Just to be honest, you're going to be like completely wasted, right? You're going to be exhausted. So we're going to go there, we can, rest, freshen up, relax for that 1 night. And then the following day, we're going to take the train from Jeddah to Medina. We're going to take a train from Jeddah to Medina. This is something new they started. We're going to be the first group that's going to try this out, inshallah. So it should be a lot more comfortable and a lot quicker. And then we'll get to Medina, and we'll be in Medina for at least 2 nights, inshallah.
So no train from Mecca to Medina?
Well, it's from Jeddah to Medina.
Oh.
Not from Mecca.
2 nights or 3 nights in Medina?
It depends on the days of Dhul Hijjah. So minimum 2 nights. If the Dhul Hijjah, according it might be 3 nights. Inshallah. And in Medina, we'll have a program for everybody. Right? In Medina, we'll have the program for everybody. We'll have like a daily lecture and reminder, and we'll go on a tour of the city, where we'll go explore all the important historical sites, and we'll have a few tours, and I think there's 1 trip to a museum that's planned as well in Medina, inshallah.
Visiting the Rawda in Medina, we split women and men, and women get smashed inside.
Yeah. So we'll have a guide that will go with you and take you through the process, inshallah. Inshallah. So after the 12th of Dhul Hijjah and Tawaful Wida', your Hajj is basically done. So we ask Allah, inshallah, to make the Hajj very easy for us and facilitate it for us, and to make it a very transformative experience. And I just want to mention that, look, a lot of people when they go for Hajj, especially if they're going for their first time, there's a lot of anxiety, right? Because you don't really know what to expect. It's your first time. It's something that you've spent a lot of money on, right? You're traveling, you're going to a foreign land. So there's a lot of anxiety. And I just want everyone to know that you don't need to be stressed out, inshallah, right? Be relaxed, be calm, and just enjoy the experience. And that is really how we're going to make Hajj very enjoyable, is if we just take things as they come and recognize that Hajj is this amazing, very beautiful experience that might require a lot of patience, but that patience is something that's going to, inshallah, make us better people, right? It's going to make us better individuals. And inshallah, we'll come back with Hajj Mabrur, and our reward will be Jannah. But again, the most important thing to remember is be patient. Just be patient. Don't get upset. Don't lose your temper. Don't lose your cool. And just recognize that you're going to be surrounded by a lot of people.
What is the best thing to say dua when somebody like agitating you? I know. I will try to control the best way. But sometimes as a human being,
A'udhu billah.
Astaghfirullah.
A'udhu billah. A'udhu billah. It's the best thing to do at the time of being upset.
I spoke with Brother Maman earlier. I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to you. So I've been to Hajj, alhamdulillah, about 10 years ago. I've been to 2 umrahs after that as well. So recently I put together sort of a practical guide, some things to think about, some things to consider, how to plan for the trip, how to prepare mentally, logistics, spiritual, over there, what to focus on, how to leave out all the distractions in life, bless your time, your focus time with Allah. So I would love to give everybody a PDF. I'm just giving it away.
Okay.
I've got some printed copies as well. If somebody wants them, I'm just getting the $10 to keep printing and keep giving them away.
Okay, for sure.
Or whatever amount you're comfortable with. But I would love to have everyone have a PDF. If you could help me collect the email addresses.
Yeah.
So send them all the PDF. Just download it to your phone and read it at your convenience.
Okay. Yeah. So if anyone's interested, you can meet the brother in the back, inshallah, and he'll. Yeah, so if anyone's interested, inshallah, that's available.
Do you recommend taking your own Quran with you?
There's a lot in the masajid, but for Mina and Arafah, take your own copy.
Okay.
So have one copy with you that you're comfortable with, and take it along. Yeah, you can have it on your phone as well.
When you say we have to go to, just carry-on when we go to Mina? Is it the roll bag or like a duffel bag or what is it?
Whatever you're comfortable with. So a lot of people take the roll, the carry-on rolling bag, because it has more space. Yeah.
So from Mina, suppose if we want to leave the bag, can we leave the bag?
Yeah, so it's secure. Mina, the camp is secure.
So and then when we go to Arafat, we can
You can leave that. You can leave that there and just take a backpack with you. Exactly.
Question about the night in Muzdalifah. I know people will be exhausted. So is there any arrangement for taking nap, not sleep, taking nap, or have to take our own things?
Yeah, no, it's arrangements are there. You don't need anything. It's all there. There's like bedding and stuff for you to sleep there. Yeah.
Is the backpack provided by them?
I believe so. I'm not sure if they give a backpack. I know they give like the shoe bag. I know that for sure. I'm not sure about the backpack.
Why they offer the ihram clothes for men is not available?
Because women can wear whatever they want.
We need to have a common color.
All right, so just remember that we want to go for a transformative journey, and part of that is you have to make your own spirituality as well. Like there's so many people there that it's you can get distracted very easily, and it's like you have to like make your own like spiritual environment. But we're there to help you, inshallah. Right? That's our purpose for being on this journey, is to help everyone and facilitate it and guide everyone through the process, inshallah. So up till now, don't worry. No worries needed, inshallah. All right. Any questions before we end? All right. May Allah accept from us. May He make this journey very easy and facilitate for us, and grant all of us Hajj Mabrur. All right. Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanakum hamdak, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Is there any time where I cannot use umbrellas, or is there times where umbrellas are permissible?
You can use umbrellas at all times.
Like tawaf?
Yeah, you can use it in tawaf as well, but you just got to be careful. Don't poke people.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
As long as you can do that.
Anything else? I have sensitive skin, so I'm just trying to be careful.
Yeah.
A lot of sunlight.
Yeah.
Anything else I can do aside from sunblock?
You can use sunblock. Yeah. That's perfectly fine. Just avoid going out in the sun.
Yeah. All right. It sounds like there's a lot of intense options along the way.
My wife, she has a question, but before she asks that, on the Muzdalifah night, I saw the list from different groups, they say take your own bed sheet or inflated pillow, so we don't need
Darussalam will provide it.
Okay, we don't need it.
You have
She has a question for her.
I have to tell you because I have to know about that. It's a personal question. Because of the weather over there or something else, the women easily got menstrual automatically. Even the menopause women also. What to do?
So in that case, you'll do everything, right? Everything except for the tawaf itself. You'll do everything that the Haji does, but except for the tawaf. Except for tawaf.
What for the first time it's coming?
Even Hajj, you can do everything. You can do everything except for tawaf.
Except for I cannot pray even.
You can't pray.
But menstrual time, even the women 5-6 years menstrual, they still come.
So if it's not your normal cycle, then it counts as istihama. So that means you can just do wudu for every prayer time and pray.
Because menstrual, the woman who got the menstrual few years already.
Yeah.
But I heard that somebody is already there, and my nephew is there. She told. Yeah, the woman
because of
is coming.
So that doesn't count as hayd. It doesn't count as menstrual. It's istihada. They can still do it. Yeah, they can do it. Yeah, they just make wudu and they can pray.
Yeah, because the birth control pill, I asked my doctor because I don't have menstrual, so I asked my doctor this country doctor doesn't want to give me. She say you don't the doctor say you don't need because you are not.
So that's fine.
So, but my niece over there, she said you have to take the birth control. So you can when you start
it's okay.
So I can do everything, right? Thank you, brother. That's
She can pray, but no tawaf.
No, she can do tawaf too then.
She can do the tawaf.
She can do tawaf as well. Just make wudu and go.
Yeah.
Another thing, I tried to go with IOK, but I was kind of late, so I could not get involved with the group. But I'll be around there with other group. I really bless and appreciate the
support. We'll see you.
Please pray for us.
Definitely.
We'll be probably next.
We are going with Accra.
Yeah. So we'll be next to each other.
Thanks. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
I hope you are okay with that. I
Yeah, no,
don't want to be offensive.
no worries whatsoever.
I talked to Brother Noman before.
No worries whatsoever.
Mashallah, you spoke very well. You made it all so easy, and it is easy.
It is.
shouldn't be hard.
Alhamdulillah. Allah accept inshallah.
I wanted to ask about the cost of Hajj.
The cost of Hajj?
Yes. How much would it cost?
For Hajj, you're asking?
Yes.
Like the journey itself, or like when you're going, like how much money should you take with you?
The journey itself.
So it depends on what package you take.
The most basic package.
The most basic package you can get for like 6,000. But that's like the roughing it Hajj.
What's
But
the
for your
highest?
age, it's okay. The most expensive is like 18,000.
18?
Yeah. But that's like super VIP.
What's the medium one?
Medium is about 8 to 10. 8 to 10. Yeah.
So does IOK provide that package?
The lower one, ours is the medium. So I think this year the price point was like about 12,000. Yeah. Hopefully that helps.
There's going to be an IOK seminar workshop also, right?
Yeah, inshallah.
That's at
after prayer. After prayer, inshallah. Yeah. Inshallah.
So we're interested in the November umrah. Because
Okay.
you said you're doing that.
Yeah.
So what is the price and what dates do they need?
I don't know the price or the dates.
Between 2,000 to 2,200.
Yeah, it's definitely below $2,500 for sure.
Oh, that's,
Yeah.
and then if it's in December, what's the price?
It's about the same.
Oh, is it?
Are
It's
you
about
going
the
to be
same.
doing the December?
Just the November one.
So
I'm gonna go
when you-
November and April.
When you go, what is the dates in November?
I don't know the exact
I
dates.
think I have that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know
And
the
then
exact
who do
dates.
we talk to about that?
I think there's a phone number. You just call it and they arrange
So I
it.
called and then I got a security guard.
Okay. Sister
You can
Nahid.
give
Yeah.
them the email. I gave them the email.
When is
front
the
desk.
when is the
Front desk.
deadline?
No, I
Yeah.
it's September.
Oh,
Or
it's
November.
Yeah.
Oh, is that?
I have a personal question. Hajj is the journey for your heart.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have some grudge against somebody, how do I get rid of?
Getting rid of the grudge is a hard thing to do. So you have to just recognize that like if you want Allah to forgive you, then you have to forgive others. So whatever they've done to wrong you, whatever they've done to hurt you, just say that, you know what, for the sake of Allah, I'm forgiving it. That doesn't mean you have to be friends with them. It doesn't mean you have to meet them, interact with them. But you're saying that I've forgiven whatever it is, and I'm content with whatever Allah has decreed for me and made it.
Okay, but I'm saying from my mouth, but
So that is a constant process. So the beginning point is saying it with your mouth, and then just slowly working on it. However long it takes.
And I can ask forgiveness over there. They will make my life easier, Allah, to
Of course,
forgive that
exactly.
person.
Like make it easy for me to let go of
Get
my
rid
grudges.
from
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So we want to travel because you seem to know everything that you're talking
You're very
about.
good.
I'm confident with you. So what do you know the exact dates in November?
It should be on the website.
Oh, is that?
No, that's what Sheikh Mustafa. Let me check it for you real quick.
And do you have like a number to contact you if that's okay to do?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It was a very good description of everything that you talked
So,
about.
see, we're thinking about doing Umrah first and then
Mhm.
go for Hajj after.
That is a lot better.
That would be an idea.
And also during Umrah, it's a lot easier.
And I think in November it's not as packed.
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So you recommend November versus December? Or?
Yeah.
That's
November is
probably
also-
that's why you're going in November. You don't want to deal with the crowd. You're being smart.
Let's see where it is. I think there's a flyer for it in the elevator.
Okay. What is your information, your card? Can we get your...
Yeah, I have a card. My bag's in the office. You can just take my phone number. It's fine.
Okay, let's do that. I'm ready. What is it?
It's 949 981 6911.
Okay, I'm just going to call it 949-981-6911.
That's it, right?
Yeah,
I got
that's
it.
okay.
Yeah. 311.
Take the private check first.
Okay, I can go ahead and put your message. Sorry, my screen broke. I gotta get a new phone.
Mine too, please. Who's calling me?
And then you're one of the imams here, or you
Yeah.
just... Okay.
Imam at IOK. Thank you.
So the flyer for the umrah and stuff, it's in the elevator.
Okay, so we got your information, so now we can just go and get it.
It's safe for females to go if you don't have a mahram and stuff, and they take care of visa and everything.
Everything.
Yeah, they do probably everything. Okay, so then we'll just go over there and talk to the engineers.
Yeah, and we'll see more here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I know this is a superficial question, but when are we supposed to do our shopping? At the end?
You can do it while we're in Mecca for those 4 days.
My mom told me just do it in a hotel and don't go anywhere.
In Medina, so the best place to do the shopping is Medina.
Medina.
And even in Jeddah, so that night we're in Jeddah, you can go out to the malls and stuff there. And there's a few markets. And then in Medina, there's markets really close to where we are. You can
Like
just
the
do
stuff we buy for gifts, like those prayer rugs and this
Everything,
stuff,
yeah.
everything
It's ready.
towards the end. So just kind of leave it till after Hajj.
Exactly.
Inshallah.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
It's been a long time, 10 years since I went to her. So this train now is running on a regular basis. And how long is the ride? You said about 3 hours to get to the train. Train ride would be about 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Very quick.
And then station again, you come out and alhamdulillah. It took us, we went in a bus from Arafat, stopped in Muzdalifah, Muzdalifah to straight to Haram Sharif. And that took us 15 hours.
The bus sometimes because of the rush and the traffic becomes crazy.
I think we got to Muzdalifah around 11 o'clock at night. He said Maghrib 11 o'clock at night.
Alhamdulillah.
So how long is this trip?
I think it's 13 days, 14 days.
13 days. So you go to Medina later
after Hajj.
After Hajj.
I'm Farid Jafri's daughter.
Yeah,
This is my husband. How are you?
Very good.
Are those books for sale?
Those ones?
Yeah.
Ask it. I think so.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you already buy it online or you're going to buy it?
I wanted to look at it,
Oh.
so that's
Is there, some people say there are some times when you are not supposed to pray or like nafil. Is it true?
Yeah, so there's certain times of the day where you're not supposed to pray. That's from Fajr till sunrise, and from after Asr till Maghrib.
After Asr to Maghrib too.
Yeah. So during those 2 times you shouldn't be praying.
But we can read
Quran and dua and dhikr.
That's okay, but not like
Not prayer itself.
Sijda type.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that's nice too. That's
for umrah and hajj?
Yes. So ask the front desk and they'll get you one.
Can men use safety pins in the ihram? Okay. They've been so worried.
They can use the safety pins.
Thank you so much. Say salam to your mom, inshallah.
Definitely.
I didn't get a chance, but tell her, she's in my mind.
Definitely.
What's his name? Rehan.